All right, so recap of week 1. So the few things that we went over. Firstly, we went over Pythagoras and Pythagoras' theorem. So Pythagoras' theorem says, here is our right angle triangle. So essentially, if we label the hypotenuse of the triangle C, remember the hypotenuse is always the one that is opposite the right angle. The two smaller sides we can label A and B. Now remember with this, A and B are completely interchangeable. It doesn't matter which one you label A and which one you label B. The only one that matters is that C is that hypotenuse, the longest side. So Pythagoras' theorem says that if we label the triangle like that, we have the rule C squared equals A squared plus B squared. Okay, so the square of the longest side is equal to the square of the other two sides added together. The other way that I can write this rule is that if I'm looking to find a shorter side, I'm going to call that shorter side A for this. A squared is C squared minus B squared. All right, so doing a little bit of an example, I'll do two examples. The first one is finding the long side, so I'll call the long side X, I'll call the short side 10, and I'll call the other short side 5. So in this case, X squared equals 10 squared plus 5 squared. Because X is the longest side, it is adding. Okay, so X squared is 100 plus 25, which makes 125. If X squared is 125, I need to do the square root of 125 to find X. And if I shove that into a calculator, the square root of 125 is 11.2. So X equals 11.2. Okay, and that's rounded off to 1 dp. Now, I won't clear that, I'll just write it over here. So, the second example is one where we have to find a short side. So in this case, 10 is going to be the long side, 4 is going to be this side, and X you can see is one of the shorter two sides. So in this case, X squared is 10 squared minus 4 squared. Notice that when it's a short side, we do minus. So we do 100 minus 16. So X squared is 84. So X is the square root of 84, which comes out to be about 9.1. Yet again, rounded off to 1 dp. Okay? Now, the second thing that we did in week 2 was trigonometry. So trigonometry, yet again, we're looking at right angle triangles, but in this case, we're looking at triangles that are labeled as the hypotenuse, the opposite, and the adjacent. In order to have an opposite and adjacent, we need to have a marked angle, which we're going to call theta. Okay? So you should remember the 3 rules. Remember, you don't need to memorize these, but you should still have a decent idea of what they are. So sine theta is the opposite over the hypotenuse. Cos theta is the adjacent. That's a terrible A. Let's rub that out. There you go, A. Is the adjacent over the hypotenuse, and tan theta is the opposite over the adjacent. Okay? The thing that you need to remember with these is you're looking for which one isn't there. So in any question, I'll have one side given to you and another side that you need to find out. Okay? So there'll be 2 sides that are involved and one side that isn't involved. So if the one that isn't involved is the adjacent, then you're looking at sin, okay? Because it has opposite and hypotenuse, not adjacent. Cos is when